When it comes to your second serve, you want to make sure that you view your second serve as an asset, not a liability. I wouldn't go as far as viewing it as a weapon, because in my opinion, there is a lot resting on that second serve. And that's going to put a lot of pressure on you. Build a stroke that is constant, that you know that is always going to go in. So I have some suggestions to help you make sure that you can build a second serve that is an asset. So the first one is you have to pick some sort of spin. And in my opinion, you want to pick the easiest spin there is, and that is the slice. Why? Because anatomically is the easiest thing for your hand to do. Number one, there are already things in life that we're doing that mimic this motion, like scooping, like picking things up. So when you apply the spin to your serve, your mind is already going to have a reference point for this sort of slice. I already made a video that goes into more detail about how to add slice to that second serve, and I'm gonna link it up here. Also, when it comes to spin, in your mind, you wanna make a connection between spin and insurance, spin and success, and spin and breaks. You know the meaning of spin. The ball rotates in the air, and because of the rotation, it fights the air and it becomes shorter. And that's what you want on that second serve. That service box is not that big. So in order to create a lot of spin, you're also going to need a lot of speed. So in your mind, you have to make that connection between spin, speed, and insurance. My second suggestion is you have to find balance from the very beginning of the stroke. And in order to do that, you have to be able to utilize your entire body, your lower body and your upper body. And one of the main things that I see out there why people can't separate upper from lower body is because their hips are so tight. Anytime that you're nervous, the first thing that's going to tighten up is your hips. Every stroke in tennis needs a backswing and it needs a forward swing. You're already way past the point of just pushing that ball into the court and basically becoming a sitting target of your opponent. There's nothing more disheartening than starting your game in the defensive. So when you start finding balance from the beginning, that balance is going to give you trust. And balance also comes from making sure that your dominant side is in charge of power and your non-dominant side is in charge of control. I made a much longer video that goes much more into detail about this, and I'm gonna link it up here. So basically, by separating your body into two parts, you're gonna have the best of both worlds. Power over here and control over here. Just like in any car, if you wanna go fast, you need good brakes. And my third suggestion is work on the mental side of your serve. And this to me is the most important. Why? Because we all know the second serve is one of the most mentally difficult strokes in tennis because there's a lot riding on that second serve, right? So think about this. You only need about 51% of your second serves to make it over the net and into the service box in order for you to have a chance at winning that game. So going back to what I said in the beginning, if you can consider this stroke as an asset, not necessarily as a weapon, and definitely not as a liability, then you're eventually going to think of it as something that always goes over the net. So the first thing that I'm going to suggest to you to work on your mental side is you have to be willing to make a mistake. If you don't, you're always going to be afraid and you're always going to hold everything that you know in here. You're never going to put it out on the line. Be willing to make a mistake and then learn from the mistakes that you're making. And one of the things that you should really consider if you are willing to make a mistake is adding some sort of spin to the serve. Grow as a tennis player. Add something else that's going to make the game a lot more fun. My second suggestion is, like I mentioned in the beginning, make the connection between spin, speed, and breaks. If you get the first two going, then you're going to have breaks and your ball is going to go into the service box. When you concentrate on adding spin, your mind is concentrating on this side, on finishing what you're doing. when you hit the ball flat, hitting the ball flat is the easiest thing to do. And your mind is really not here because it's so easy. Your mind is on that side. So I could hit the ball without really watching it and still make it over the net. So when you're pushing the ball over the net, you're not really on this side, you're on that side. My third suggestion is control the timing. Make that person play according to your timing. Now, I know that you have an allotted amount of time for you to serve, but you need to use it. So one of those things is build a routine around it. So don't rush between your first and your second serve. If part of your routine is bouncing the ball on the court, then bounce it. And make sure that you bounce it the same amount of times every time. I bounce it 3 times. So if I bounce it 3 times, I know my body all of a sudden feels like, okay, this is familiar. And remember, trust what's familiar. And trust comes from repetition, from seeing something over and over and over. So build that routine and don't rush between strokes. Pick a target and take a deep breath and then go for it. The last thing is be mindful of what I call the fetal position. Subconsciously, every time that your body feels like it's threatened, it's gonna wanna go back to the fetal position. And what does that mean in tennis? Your stroke is gonna be short, your toss is gonna be short, and you're not really gonna finish what you're doing. So the more relaxed you can keep your body, the more that you can loosen up all your joints, and the more that you can work and stay on this side, the more you're gonna have fun, and the more you're gonna build that stroke into an asset.